Welcome back to the channel. We're going to jump right into it. So we're working with our dry ingredients first. We have our flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, salt, and chocolate chips. We're going to also add this non-traditional ingredient, which is some instant coffee. You can also use espresso powder. And usually I wait until around the end of the video to give you the recipe, but today I'm going to go ahead and give it to you up front. Now we're going to work on our wet ingredients. We're going to add some sugar into a bowl of eggs. Now I did go in and add a third egg, and I've also updated the recipe to include that third egg. We're adding some melted butter. You can also use some oil in place of the butter, and the recipe also notates that. Now this is another non-traditional ingredient. I'm adding some sour cream. Sour cream, you will not taste the flavor of it, but sour cream becomes a tenderizer when you add it to your baked ingredients. Finally, we're adding some vanilla extract. You can use a whisk to mix your wet ingredients. I'm going to use a hand mixer though, because I'm trying to get this brownie mixture into more of a cake-like consistency. So this wet mixture needs to become more like a custard. Okay, now the color is going to change a bit, and also you can see that texture is starting to form into a nice, thick and fluffy batter. This is what we need in order to get that cake-like consistency into the brownies. Go ahead and give your dry ingredients a nice quick mix, and then you want to add your wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and gently mix those together in order to create that brownie cake-like batter. You can also continue to use your hand mixer at this point if you like. The only thing is that you don't want to overwork this batter, because remember, we created that nice fluffy wet mix, okay? And you'll lose some of that fluffiness if you overwork the dough. Go ahead and transfer to a loaf pan. If you don't want to use a loaf pan and you want to stick to the traditional square pan that most people use for brownies, that's actually fine. Just go ahead and pour the batter into a regular square, usually 8x8 size baking dish. So the top of this batter is going to crack like a brownie, but the inside will remain firm like a cake, okay? Now the caramel sauce plays a role in this way. As I'm adding that caramel drizzle, it's going to seep deeper down into the top layer of the brownie batter, and here's how that's going to happen. With this little swirl that I'm creating with this kebab stick, you can also use a toothpick. So it's not for visual purposes, you know, it's not going to create a design, but just to allow that caramel to seep deeper into the top layer. And again, we're doubling down on the flavor by adding more chocolate chips on top of the batter.
About me and you, things we used to do, it's all in the past now. When I hear that song, I just wanna sing along.
If you have one of these silicone baking spatulas, I recommend using that to loosen up the edges of your brownies instead of using a butter knife. And now I'm going to show you the bottom of the brownies. I want to be transparent here. There's nothing to hide. So as you can see, some of it did get stuck on the baking dish. Maybe spraying it with some Baker's Joy or some sort of non-stick spray would have prevented that from happening, but it's okay. Although we have that caramel that baked into the top of this brownie, it still allowed the knife to go through pretty easily, okay? We didn't have to struggle with it. Now I want you to hear the top of this crust. So that top layer is just like a brownie and the inside is just like a cake. You can see that some of the chocolate chips melted and that caramel did indeed drip down into that top layer. So the top layer is full of ooey gooeyness and lots of chocolate flavor. Now, you can add ice cream or whipped cream to the top layer and decorate it with some of the chocolate chips, drizzle with some of that caramel, and sprinkle with some cocoa powder. That's it. Again, thanks for watching.
Some might say that I'm a loner, but I just call it being free. I am my heart's only owner.